the things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be too personal, but do you have any fear when it comes to having kids in the future, them having MS? I know you probably did more research than me on this.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely do, for sure. And I think that was one of the reasons why my husband and I wanted to wait. We know that there's no like specific gene, and I don't think there ever will be a gene that's gonna like be found like specifically for MS compared to a lot of other diseases. But I do think epigenetics plays a really big role in the development of MS and a lot of other autoimmune conditions. And we know that the mitochondria are passed from mom to baby. So has nothing to do with the man, has everything to do with the mom passing to baby. And so and we know that MS is partly a mitochondrial issue. And so for me, that was like an aha of like, yeah, like I need to focus on that 100%. And yeah, I still definitely have a fear. I think especially having it on both sides of the family. And the toxic burden of today's world, and how do we decrease that? How do we
I am more worried about that than my son getting or my daughter getting MS because of me. I'm more worried about the toxic environment than food.
For sure. Well, and I think it all plays a role, right? Like genes are passed, but then also what's in the environment? How much 5G are we exposed to? Like how much radiation, all the things. So yeah, I think it's top of mind. I think especially as somebody who really focuses on preventative medicine and sees a lot of sick kids in my practice. It's always top of mind of how do we set our future children up for success. And that's really where, I don't know if you saw this, but I recently launched a membership app, and it's really to teach parents about the foundations of health and how to optimize our children's health, because I was one of them. I thought I was doing everything and I clearly wasn't. And I want to like shout from the rooftops what I've learned through this experience. And so a lot of that is through trying to give back to other parents and, change the future.
You are doing an amazing job. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Where can people find you?
Yeah. You can find me here on Instagram. So Dr.Michelle_Young. I also have 2 websites, healthyfamiliescollective.com, which is my app, and youngmedicine.com is my private practice. My books are not open. I'm not taking on any new patients, but I do have a blog on there and lots of free resources, as well as very low cost resources. So yeah, there's a lot of people here. Did we get any questions?
I have a question, actually. I just saw the question. What healing modalities, lifestyle changes, therapies do you both find helped you the most?
Yeah. Do you want to go first or me? It's up to you.
I think it's not like one specific one for me, but everybody is different. Like, I think it's the small changes that became my routine every day. And if I notice something like I have a numbness in my leg, I go to get a red light therapy. Or a cold shower, if I have back pain, I go for yoga. So it's not like one thing I completely changed and I went that direction and that's like, oh my God, that was the best thing. It's
I wish, right?
Things. I'm sorry?
I said I wish, right?
Yes, I
if
wish.
only it was like one magical thing.
Yes, I wish. But I think it was very important to get the blood work like ordered by the functional medicine doctor, because that showed that gave me a lot of answers. What kind of multivitamins, what kind of supplements do I have to take? And as soon as I changed my routine, before I wasn't even taking supplements. Increasing my vitamin D level, once it hit like the 80s, 90s, I instantly felt better. So small things, and the list is huge. If you get the book, if you read the book or listen to the audiobook, Beating Multiple Sclerosis, everybody is talking about different things, and you just have to try, and I feel like experiment, on yourself. What do you
Sure.
think?
Yeah, I think really it comes down to individuality. And I think this is, I think working with somebody who can guide you to find what is going to work for you based off of labs, based off of symptoms, based off of environment, I think is so, so critical and worth every penny. And we are not like, you know, we're my husband and I are not rich. Like we have figured it out. And I think a lot of people, are spending lots and lots of money on supplements, but they could have been spending that money on seeing somebody who could guide them in a very individual way. And so if that is you listening, I really encourage you to find somebody. And if you don't know of somebody, reach out. I have lots of contacts all over the country. For me, what has been the most beneficial is treating my Lyme. So I did that via herbs, and my doctor is amazing, and he created an amazing protocol for me. And within, like I said, within about a month, I was feeling like night and day better. I also did take, or I am still taking LDN, or low dose naltrexone. I saw somebody post about LDN. Yes, I am taking LDN, and I think it made a huge difference in my sleep, my energy levels, and just overall, I feel like the things I was doing worked a little bit better when I added an LDN. I think the diet really does help, but I don't think that I don't think it's the miracle drug either. Like I think some people talk about it as, but I really don't think diet alone in a lot of cases is going to fix everything. I think for me, I've been doing a lot of parasite medications. And so while I am doing natural, I also used medications. I had done parasite cleansing via herbs for like 3 to 4 years prior to getting diagnosed. And then when I started the medications, I was passing an insane amount of parasites. And so I know that that definitely contributed. And every round I have felt not so great during the round of medications, but afterwards I have felt better every single round for the most part. I also just think all of the nervous system work for me on like a day-to-day basis has all added up. So for me, what that looks like is I've done Evox therapy, and I've talked about this on my social media, but Evox therapy has been an absolute game changer. It's a combination of kind of like therapy, biofeedback, and then voice mapping. And so it's really gotten to the root of a lot of past traumas and current kind of like cycles that I've been in and how to kind of break free of those. So I've done
Can you
that.
tell us more about EVAX or where to learn more? This is the first time I'm actually hearing about this.
Yeah. So I learned about it from the Center for New Medicine. I don't know if they require it, but they recommend it for all of their cancer patients at the Center for New Medicine because they believe that, or that it's technically the Cancer Center for Healing, but I'm on the other side of the coin, the Center for New Medicine, but they really believe that trauma and emotional health is at the root of all disease. And so they recommend their patients to do Evox therapy. And so that's how I learned about it. I see Leanne, I think it's Leanne Connolly. I can tell. I'm like, oh my gosh, Leanne Lindsay is her name. I'm like, I see so many people. Leanne Lindsay, she's at Via Crescent. We can always put it in I'll send you her handle. I don't know if anybody else is doing it, but she is phenomenal. Like she is life changing. And she does see people all over the world. You just have to rent the equipment and you can do it virtually. I see her in person here in San Diego. But she's also got a podcast and she talks a lot about nervous system healing and how emotions lead to disease essentially. And so I did that. I've done a lot of sauna. I think using my infrared sauna like 3 to 5 days a week has been game changing due that my genetics really suck in terms of detox. And so sauna has been huge. I do enemas every single week. I think all of those have really just led to a huge change. One other thing that I did very early on I worked with him for about 9 months, was a functional neurologist. He does functional neurology. He's a chiropractor here locally in San Diego. And he did a lot of laser and like balance things, and we're, you know, like brain challenges. And he also does like standard chiropractic. That really moved the needle for me at the beginning, because I was having a lot of severe brain fog. So he was doing a lot stimulating the vagus nerve, and then he has a specific MS protocol with his laser. And so that made a huge difference at the beginning. I've like since done more just nervous system focused chiropractic, because my balance has gotten so much better. So those are some of the things that I have done and really have made a huge difference.
Thank you so much for sharing. I
Yeah.
know that some. Can you share more about the LDN for those people who don't know what it is?
Yeah, so LDN is low dose naltrexone. It is a medication. And so naltrexone is used for like opioid addiction at very high doses. And what they have found at very low doses is it can help modulate the immune system and decrease inflammation. And so I am on 3 milligrams. You can take anywhere from like a half a milligram to I think like 4.5 milligrams is like the upper end of technically low dose naltrexone. And there's fairly good literature on LDN for decreasing brain inflammation specifically. And so that literature was very encouraging for me. And again, I'm not anti using Western medicine when I need it and when it's going to make me feel better and when there's not a ton of side effects. And so I've had 0 side effects, with the exception of, I think, the first week that I started it. The most common side effect is nightmares. And I was having nightmares, and my husband was also having nightmares. It was freaky. It was so freaky. He would wake up and he'd be like, I had another nightmare. Like, did you have a nightmare? And we both have nightmares it was so freaky.
You know,
and he never.
It's just explain how the energy is
Yes.
transformed.
Yes, it was like wild. And then when I stopped having nightmares, he also stopped having nightmares. So, yeah, look into LDN. I know a lot of functional medicine doctors use LDN for a lot of things, including MS. It's a very common treatment. I use it in kids sometimes. And it's very safe and can be used more like long-term. So I plan on using it pretty long-term. I'll probably stop it right before we start trying for kids.
Mm-hmm. Do you have any plans to get another MRI anytime soon?
I don't.
I don't know why I knew that's the answer.
I know. I've gone back and forth. You know, I think because my neurologist was kind of like, you don't really need to get another one. I kind of don't want to, but at the same time, I also kind of want to know, but I also have had an uptick in symptoms in the last. So I went to Thailand in March, and I think it was a little bit too much for my body. It 100% was too much for my body. And so I've kind of like, I've had some resurgence of some symptoms that had been gone for lots and lots of months. And so I know that there's still some work to do. And so, but I do, because I'm like, I love research and I'm Scorpio. So I'm like, you tell me I can't do it, I'm going to do it, and I'm going to prove you wrong. So I do plan on getting an MRI at some point, because I really want to prove that my lesions have gone away, like really, really bad. But we'll see. That's not anytime soon. Probably in a couple of years. I want
to jump back on this Instagram live and talk about that for sure.
Yes, I'm sure we could talk about that for a while.
Sounds good. Thank you so much for spending this much time with us here on Saturday. And thank you everybody who joined. I will post this video on YouTube and probably on Instagram as well.
Awesome.
If you want to watch the entire thing. And thank you. Have a great weekend.
You as well. Thank you so much for having me. Yeah, and if you guys have questions or follow-ups, feel free to reach out to both of us. Somebody just...
One question I just saw here. What is the reason you don't want the MRI?
I think for me, it was really just like, it won't change anything. For me, I don't plan on going on medications. My symptoms are not bad enough. I definitely will not go on medications at this point prior to having kids. And so for me, it's kind of like, one, my insurance will not cover it at this point. And so it's like, why pay out of pocket to go do it when it's not going to change anything? If I was like in dire need and I felt like things were progressing, then I absolutely would go do it. I'm not naive. I would definitely do it. But at this point, I'm feeling really, really good. And, you know, even if I had like one new lesion or something like that, I would not be going on medication. So that's why.
Yeah, I feel the same way. Just the thought of getting an MRI, I don't want to go and get an MRI to, it's hard to explain. I want to go and get an MRI that shows no lesion, and I want to go there that, yes, I'm here to prove that I have no lesion. I don't want to go there and just have the fear about that. Should I do the what's that fluid?
Medications.
Not medication. The oh my God, we were just talking about that last night. Brain fog, not brain. Contrast.
Oh, contrast.
Like,
Yeah.
I don't want to do that, and
Yeah.
it's just so much questions. Like, unless I really feel like I need to, like, I don't feel good, then that's another reason that I would
For
consider.
sure. Yeah, someone that I just recently talked to, and she healed all of her lesions. They're all gone. She's feeling amazing, like 25 years later, 15, 25 years later, long time later. And what she told me, she was like, I always look at my life of, am I in balance or am I not in balance? And if I'm not in balance, how do I get myself back in balance? And I loved that. Like, that has been, I met with her like 2 weeks ago, and it's been kind of like, I've been like simmering on that, because I think that's a really big difference than like, do I have MS or do I not have MS? Or like, are my lesions active or my lesions not active? It's like, it's
I think you feel that. You kind of
totally.
feel that. It's like you have to be tuned with your body. Like,
Yeah,
I knew something was wrong when I had face numbness before I went to the doctor. So you know those, and you know when it's stress related, MS related, it takes a while to kind of figure out what the heck is going on. But it's just listening.
yeah, for sure. And somebody asked, what's this person's handle? And she doesn't share about MS on Instagram anymore. She's local to me, so I met with her in person, and we were connected virtually from somebody who knew her. Yeah. So this was awesome. Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm sure we could have talked for a lot longer.
We'll
But
do
maybe
it soon. We'll do it again
yes.
soon.
Have a good rest of your weekend.
Thank you, everybody.
All right.
Have a good
Bye,
weekend.
everybody.
Bye.